A semi-truck driver hit a homeless biker on Highway 40 at 11:30 p.m. and didn't stop. He thought nobody would care about one more homeless person dead on the side of the road. He was wrong. What 80 motorcycle riders did next would make national news and change the way hit-and-run cases are investigated forever. This is the story of justice, brotherhood, and why you should never underestimate people wearing leather vests. Danny Wheels. Martinez was 62 years old and had been riding motorcycles since he was 16. He'd been a successful mechanic with his own shop, a wife, and 2 kids. But life had other plans. His wife died of cancer when he was 54. The medical bills destroyed him financially. His shop closed. His kids moved away and stopped calling. Depression took everything else. For the past 8 years, Danny had been living on the streets, but he never gave up his 1987 Harley-Davidson. That bike was all he had left of his old life. Danny slept in different places every night, always with his motorcycle nearby. He did odd jobs, fixed bikes for cash, and survived. Other homeless people knew him as the quiet guy who helped anyone with mechanical problems and never asked for much in return. The local motorcycle clubs knew Danny too. He'd helped many of them over the years with repairs when they couldn't afford a shop. They looked out for him when they could, bringing food, warm clothes, and occasional work. Danny was part of the riding community, even if he had no home to go back to. On Tuesday night, Danny was riding north on Highway 40 around 11:30 p.m. His taillight was working. His bike was running fine, and he was completely sober. Traffic was light. Then a white semi-truck came up behind him going at least 80 miles per hour in a 60 zone. The truck driver, a man named Marcus Webb, was texting while driving. He never saw Danny on that motorcycle until it was too late. The impact threw Danny and his bike 40 feet off the road into the grass. Marcus Webb felt the bump, saw what happened in his mirror, and made a decision that would haunt him. He kept driving. A passing motorist found Danny 20 minutes later. He was unconscious, bleeding from his head, with multiple broken bones. His beloved Harley was destroyed. The motorist called 911, and Danny was rushed to County General Hospital in critical condition. Police investigated the scene and found truck paint on Danny's motorcycle. They knew it was a hit-and-run, but without witnesses or cameras on that stretch of highway, finding the truck would be difficult. Detective Lisa Rodriguez took the case but was honest with the hospital staff. This will be hard to solve. No cameras, no witnesses, and the victim is homeless with no family pushing for answers. That's when Sarah Chen, a nurse in the ICU, made a phone call that changed everything. Sarah was married to a man named Axe, president of the Road Kings Motorcycle Club. When she told him that a homeless biker named Wheels was in critical condition from a hit-and-run, Axe immediately knew who she was talking about. Danny had fixed Axe's bike 3 years ago and wouldn't take payment. He'd helped dozens of Road Kings over the years. Danny wasn't just a homeless guy. He was one of them. Axe made 3 phone calls. Within 2 hours, 80 motorcycles had gathered in the hospital parking lot. Word spreads fast in the motorcycle community. When bikers heard that Wheels had been hit and left to die, clubs from 5 counties showed up. The Road Kings, the Iron Brotherhood, the Desert Riders, the Steel Wolves, and the Thunder MC. Men who might normally be rivals all came together for one purpose: find the truck driver who hit Danny and left him to die. They organized like a military operation. Axe stood in the hospital parking lot with presidents from 4 other clubs. "Here's what we know," he said. White semi-truck, front-end damage, happened at 11:30 p.m. on Highway 40 northbound. The paint left on Danny's bike is Freightliner white. A biker named Torch, who worked at an auto parts store, made a suggestion. Every truck needs repairs after hitting a motorcycle that hard. Radiator damage, front bumper, headlights. If he didn't stop at a hospital, he'll need to stop at a repair shop. Another biker named Viper, who was a tech expert, had an idea. "I can check traffic cameras at every exit north of the accident for the next 100 miles. We find trucks matching that description, we narrow it down." A third biker named Snake added his resources. "I know guys at way stations. They have records of every commercial truck that passed through last night." What happened next was the most comprehensive civilian manhunt in state history. 80 bikers split into teams. 20 bikes went to every truck stop within 200 miles showing photos of truck damage patterns. 20 bikes visited auto repair shops asking about Freightliner semi-trucks with front-end damage. 20 bikes went to trucking companies with terminals in the area. Viper hacked into traffic camera systems, which was illegal, but nobody cared. Torch contacted his network of auto parts suppliers, asking about recent orders for Freightliner front-end parts. Snake got information from his contacts at way stations about trucks that passed through. The police told the bikers to stop interfering with their investigation. Detective Rodriguez warned them that vigilante justice would land them in prison. But the bikers weren't planning violence. They were planning to do what police couldn't do with limited resources. They were going to find that truck driver through sheer numbers and determination. By Thursday afternoon, just 48 hours after the hit and run, they had narrowed it down to 3 possible trucks. All 3 were white Freightliners that had passed through the area that night. All 3 had front-end damage reported in the days after. All 3 drivers worked for different companies, but had one thing in common. They'd all called in sick for 2 days after the accident. The first truck belonged to a driver named Carlos Mendez. 20 bikers showed up at his home. Carlos came outside terrified, but when they asked about his truck damage, he showed them his dashcam footage. He'd hit a deer 50 miles north of the accident site at 2 a.m., hours after Danny was hit. The bikers apologized and moved on. The second truck belonged to James Patterson. 15 bikers visited his trucking company. James's boss confirmed that James had hit a concrete barrier in their yard on Monday, the day before Danny's accident. Another dead end. That left one truck, driver's name, Marcus Webb, 38 years old, worked for Horizon Freight Services. Marcus lived alone in an apartment 60 miles north of where Danny was hit. His truck was parked at the company lot, and according to Viper's investigation, Marcus had called in sick Tuesday through Thursday. The bikers didn't go to Marcus's apartment. Instead, they went to his workplace. 40 motorcycles pulled into Horizon Freight Services at 3 p.m. on Thursday. The company owner, a man named Robert Harrison, came out to see what was happening. "We need to see Marcus Webb's truck," Axe stated. "That's private property," Robert replied. "Then call the police," Axe suggested, "because we're not leaving until we see that truck." Robert called Detective Rodriguez, who arrived 20 minutes later. She wasn't happy to see 40 bikers, but she was curious about why they were so focused on this specific truck. "Show us the truck," Detective Rodriguez ordered Robert. "Let's settle this." Robert led them to the lot where Marcus's truck was parked. The front bumper had been recently repaired, but the job was amateur. Paint didn't match perfectly. Headlight housing was new, but slightly different from the other side. Detective Rodriguez examined it carefully. "This truck hit something big recently." Robert's face went pale. Marcus said he hit a deer and fixed it himself to save the insurance claim. Detective Rodriguez made a phone call to the state crime lab. "I need someone here now with luminol and a forensics kit." The bikers waited. Robert called Marcus Webb and told him to come to work immediately. Marcus arrived 40 minutes later and nearly crashed his car when he saw 40 motorcycles and police surrounding his truck. He tried to turn around and leave. 10 bikers blocked his exit. Marcus Webb got out of his car shaking. "I didn't do anything," he said. The crime lab technician arrived and sprayed luminol on the repaired front bumper of Marcus's truck. Under UV light, blood residue appeared, lots of it. Even after cleaning, blood was in the cracks of the bumper, under the new paint, everywhere. Detective Rodriguez arrested Marcus Webb on the spot. "You have the right to remain silent." But Marcus started talking immediately. "It was an accident. I didn't see him. I was texting. When I looked up, I'd already hit him. I panicked. I thought he was just some homeless guy. Nobody would care." That statement sealed his fate. The bikers stood silent, watching Marcus be handcuffed and placed in the police car. Axe spoke quietly. "You left him to die because you thought nobody would care about a homeless biker. You were wrong. 80 people cared enough to find you in 48 hours. At the hospital, Danny regained consciousness on Friday morning. He'd been in a coma for 4 days. Doctors told him he was lucky to be alive. Broken ribs, punctured lung, fractured skull, shattered leg, but alive. When Danny asked what happened, the nurse Sarah told him everything. 80 bikers from 5 clubs hunted down the driver who hit you. They found him in 2 days. Danny started crying. "I thought nobody cared about me anymore." Sarah smiled. "The parking lot has been full of motorcycles since Tuesday night. They've been taking shifts, making sure you're not alone. Every hour, a different biker sits in your room." Marcus Webb was charged with hit and run causing serious bodily injury, leaving the scene of an accident, reckless driving, and texting while driving. He tried to claim it was an accident and he panicked. The prosecutor argued that driving away and covering up evidence showed consciousness of guilt. The jury agreed. Marcus Webb was sentenced to 15 years in prison. At sentencing, 60 bikers filled the courtroom. Danny was there in a wheelchair. The judge addressed Marcus directly. "You hit a man and left him to die because you thought he didn't matter. You were wrong. This community proved that every life matters, even homeless lives. The motorcycle clubs raised $75,000 for Danny's medical bills and recovery. They found him an apartment and paid 6 months' rent. They got him into physical therapy. The Road Kings gave him a part-time job at their clubhouse doing mechanical work when he was able. Danny's destroyed Harley was beyond repair, but the clubs pooled money and bought him a used 2010 Harley in good condition. When they presented it to him 3 months later, Danny cried like a child. "I thought I'd lost everything. You gave me back my life." 1 year later, Danny rode at the front of a memorial ride honoring homeless veterans. 200 motorcycles participated. Danny was clean, sober, had his own apartment, and was rebuilding his life. He wore a Road King's vest with a special patch that read, "Wheels Brother Saved by Brotherhood." The clubs still look out for him. If he needs help, he calls. If they need mechanical work, he's there. Family isn't always blood. Sometimes family is 80 bikers who refuse to let you die alone and forgotten. Marcus Webb sits in prison knowing his text message cost him 15 years of freedom. The trucker who thought nobody cared about a homeless biker learned that the motorcycle community takes care of their own, always. Sometimes justice comes with badges and courtrooms. Sometimes it comes with leather vests and 80 motorcycles that won't stop until they find you. Danny Wheels Martinez is 63 now. He's alive because strangers became brothers. That's what bikers do.